What is the population of the globe? 7 billion. What is the food that we produce today? You'll be surprised that the food that we produce today globally is good enough to feed 11.5 billion people. And what is the population going to be in 2050? 9 billion. Why should we worry about food production? We already are producing 11.5 billion globally. In terms of calories, if you look at the report that you mentioned, IASTD, if you look at that report, the report says very clearly the average calorie requirement per capita is about 2,400 calories, you can say 2,600 calories. But what is being produced today, what is available to you is 4,600 calories. So where is the shortage of food? The only thing is that instead of focusing on all these, productivity jargons, what we need to do is we should go in for access and distribution. It's a political issue. Let's try to address that political issue, how to distribute it equitably across regions, across people, across communities. Nobody wants to do it. One part of the world is eating more, one part of the world is left to starve. Now, if you look at America, compare America with India, America, as I said earlier, has 320 million people as population. India has 320 million people who go to bed hungry every night. Now in America, 62% of the population is clinically obese. In India, 62% population is malnourished. Now there are more weight reduction clinics in America than there are ration shops in India. Now these are the kinds of models that are existing. Why can't we ensure that that part of the world also starts taking that food requirement in a judicial way? And I think as that Guardian report said recently that when the global warming impact will be visible, then the world will go vegetarian. But I don't wait for that. Let's try to work now. Why can't we ensure that the equitable distribution in a manner that every country produces it for itself? I think it's a very important argument. Now, nevertheless, this argument that India also needs to produce more is again flawed. Is again flawed because, as was mentioned by Professor Bhargava in the morning, in 2001 to 2003, India had a record surplus of grain in India, food grains, wheat and rice, 60 million tons on an average within those 3 years, Dr. Bhargava. 60 million tons. There was a study done, very interesting. It said, how much is 60 million tons? Because we Indians, including me, we are very fond of tossing around figures, not even knowing how much it would mean in absolute terms. Now, if you look at 60 million tons, if you were to keep one bag of grain, another bag of grain over it, another bag of grain, over another bag of grain, if you were to stack it like this, you could actually walk up to the moon and come back. Now, that was the quantity of food lying in India in 2001-2003, and we had still 320 million people going to bed hungry. And what did India do? I didn't find any agriculture scientist association. They always talk of increase in their salaries, but they never raise this question, why can't we distribute this food to our poor? And this food is nutritious. I'm sure you will agree. That food, 60 million tons, was nutritious. Wheat, the average protein requirement, protein availability in wheat is about 9 to 11, between 9 to 11% protein is there in wheat. In case of rice, it's much less, 6 to 7. But in any case, that is the kind of nutritious food that was lying within the country. And what did India do? It exported much of it outside at below the poverty line price. It didn't feed its people. And when you export food out of its country, it's very fascinating again. Look at the development model. An American company called RiceX, it developed a product called, I don't know what it's called, it is patented product, and they had actually converted rice husk into human nutritious food, made it into pellets, and they offered it to India, and Monsanto collaborated with that RiceX company to set up a 200 million plant in Karnataka to provide the Indians with that patented nutritious food, because India has the largest population of malnutrition in the world. India was very happy. Economic Times and Business Standards were also very happy because we were getting 200 million tons of investment. I stood up and challenged at that time. I said, what is a remarkable model of development? Rice husk is traditionally used as cattle feed. You are converting cattle feed for a human nutritious food. And in India, you have rice plus wheat, which is the human nutritious food. When you export it, you actually export it for the cattle of the Western countries. So your own nutritious food goes for the cattle of the Western countries. Their cattle feed comes into India as human nutritious food. What a remarkable model of development. And eventually, that project got stalled. RiceX company has never pardoned me for getting that stalled in India. But I was so happy that that debate generated in India that this was not the development model that you require. Food is lying in front of you and you don't know how to distribute it. Now this year in June 1, the food stocks that we have is 82.4 million tons. 82.4 million tons means that after even going up to the moon, you still have 20 million tons left. Now that's the kind of surplus you have in this country. Why do you need to raise your productivity still higher? I want to ask you this question. If you can't even know how to handle 82 million tons, why do you need to raise productivity? Let us first focus on distributing. No, that's what we're saying. Why can't we distribute that food? Learn to distribute that food. And if you provide that demand, farmers would grow more food. They don't grow more food because there's no demand, there are no takers for it. Even with the existing system, they can do it. Now this brings me to another question. The argument is that productivity in Green Revolution went up because we had the dwarf varieties coming. I strongly challenge that. It was not a fact. It was not a fact. Why I am saying this is, just think over it. And I leave it to you to answer, to think over it, brood over it for some time. You know, when the Green Revolution varieties came in, as I said earlier, when the tractor comes in, it comes with a package. So when the Green Revolution varieties came in, they also came with a package. And Swaminathan agrees with me, if Green Revolution had not come with two planks of the strategy, what he calls as famine avoidance strategy, there would have been no increase in the crop yield. The two strategies were, when the productivity goes up, at the time of the harvest, the prices will crash. So once the price crash, the farmer has no incentive to go into the same crop again. So which means the Green Revolution, the increase, the quantum jump that you envisage would not be sustainable, because farmer is not going to go for it unless he gets the cost that he, or plus the price he can get from that. That is why they set up the Agriculture Prices Commission. The second plank was that if you provide at the time of the harvest, they're going to be glut. Now, if you don't manage that glut, again the prices are going to clash. It's only the trade which is going to benefit. So, what is the use of that kind of regulation? So, they set up the Food Corporation of India. So, these two planks, the mandis and the Food Corporation of India, actually did the magic. If you withdraw these, Green Revolution collapses. The argument that I would like to present before you, ladies and gentlemen, is before the Green Revolution came, the productivity was not going up. But just imagine if the government of India had focused on providing a better price to farmers and a short price to farmers, and also providing a mandi or the FCI to the farmers, the production would have gone up. Just think of it. Look at Bengal. Bengal has the same kind of situation that the country has. You don't have mandis. All these years you don't have mandis. Your production fluctuates, rice production. But if you were to provide a network of mandis like Punjab has, despite your Green Revolution variety, the point I'm trying to make is Green Revolution varieties are already there. Despite that, your production is not showing that quantum jump. But if you were to provide, let's say tomorrow, open up a network of mandis across the state, your production will jump. Because farmers get an assured market. That's what they need. They don't need BT crops or GM crops and all. What they need is an assured market. Give them an assured market where they know that, like you and me, every month they will get an income. They will be very happy investing in that crop. And that's what they have done in Punjab. In Punjab, the number of mandis is phenomenal. Every 10 kilometers you have a mandi. In fact, one of the greatest achievement of somebody called as M.S. Randhawa, if you remember the great Indian agricultural scientist and one of the first vice chancellors of Punjab Agriculture University, M.S. Randhawa, a great connoisseur of art also. I remember asking him once, as to how the Green Revolution was, this entire mandi structure was built up. He said there was a chief minister, Lakshman Singh, who became chief minister in Punjab just for 6 months. He knew he's going to last only for 6 months. He was an illiterate man. So after swearing in, the next 2-3 days, he drove to Randhawa's place and asked him, Dr. Sir, I want to do something in my 6 months so that my name is completely embedded in history. So Randhawa said, the best you can do is, Punjab has the potential, they have the mandis, but the problem is, the farmer can't take his produce to the mandis because there are no roads. So you provide the link roads. He laid down the entire network of link roads in Punjab. Today, every mandi in Punjab is linked. You 10 kilometers, you know how to take it on your tractor. You can easily go to it. That's the kind of network they are providing in Punjab. That is why Punjab, you don't find distress sale happening. In Bengal, it's always distress sale. You rarely get procurement price being achieved by the farmers here. Why? Because you haven't provided the farmers with mandis. So the essence is, Don't go in for anything else. I think you don't need second green revolution, you don't need any other thing. What you need is just to provide a network of mandis, provide them the remunerative price, they will do the rest. That's what Bengal needs, that's what Bihar needs. I was telling Nitish Kumar a month back that if you really want to do something in your state, try to build up a network of mandis. And Mayawati, you can blame her for everything. Before she left her position, she actually has set aside money for 2,000 mandis in eastern India, in eastern UP. I think that's a remarkable step Mayawati has taken. I think she understood that the FDI in retail is not the answer. The answer is the mandis that we must have. So she has done it. So what I'm all saying is that in your state, what is required is a network of mandis, and you don't have to follow the same mistake that Punjab has done by way of Green Revolution, because it is now established. NASA studies, Department of Soil Studies in Punjab, numerous other studies. There are 138 development blocks in Punjab, out of which 108, the water requirement there has already reached dark zone, which means 98% exploitation. Now this is the level of Punjab. In 2020, the expectation of Punjab Agriculture University is that the withdrawal of water would be in minus terms. There will be no water to withdraw in Punjab. Now that's not the stage that we would like Bengal to get into. I think what we need is not a Eastern Green Revolution model, which basically is harboring upon pushing that technology. The input provider is the gainer. Fertilizer, pesticides, seed, machines. That's what the companies will gain. The scientists will gracefully retire. They don't have to worry about farmers. But the fact of the matter is the farmer who will bear the cost for all times to come. Now what we need is exactly what Andhra Pradesh has done. Andhra Pradesh in the last 6 years, what began from a village, Panukula, in the Khammam district of Andhra Pradesh, they first stopped using pesticides. Non-pesticide management they began to. And after stopping use of pesticide, today, as I was saying, let me get that figure, 35 lakh acres in Andhra Pradesh is today without pesticides, out of which 20 lakh is also without chemical fertilizers now. So no chemical fertilizer and no pesticides, less of chemical fertilizer. Look at the food security situation going up, look at the livelihood security going up, look at the health costs getting reduced in Andhra Pradesh. That's the model of agriculture that Bengal needs to adopt. It is not the green revolution mold that we need to push in East India, including Bengal. So we need a shift. We need a paradigm shift here to understand what has gone wrong there. Are we going to commit the same mistakes that that have been done across the country, across the world, and across, of course, the society all these years? Scientific community has to come in terms now to see that we are able to build up a system which is sustainable. As somebody said that the bigger problem today is global warming. It's very shocking that whenever I go to a global warming conference, I hear that how should farmers adapt to the changing environment. We are not telling how the agriculture has actually changed that environment. Nobody talks about it. 25% of greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture. Why can't we do away with that greenhouse gas emissions? Much of it comes from chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Why can't we reduce that greenhouse gas emission instead of asking farmers to adapt to the changing environment? I think the bigger challenge is to get away from that mold of greenhouse, the agriculture, which not only intensifies but also adds on to the global warming and the greenhouse gases and so on. And please, let's not forget, is also an agriculture which brings in farmers to commit suicide. In those areas where the NPM model is being followed in Andhra Pradesh, so far there has been no suicide. If it can happen in the 35 lakh acres, I am sure it can happen in Bengal also. And don't tell me that Bengal doesn't have farmer suicides. It's only that the previous government didn't allow those figures to come out. They were always very clear that these figures will not come out. I remember I did a survey in this country of farmer suicide across the country. And the only state which I could not get figure, my researcher said he would be killed if he were to come out with those figures, was Bengal. But that was the kind of terror that existed in this part of the country. I'm not blaming a party A or party B, but that was also the reality. The point I'm trying to make, ladies and gentlemen, is we have to now come to a system of agriculture which is locally based upon local production, based upon local procurement, or also based upon local distribution. Now, that's the model of agriculture that Bengal needs to adopt. And I think Devinder has already shown a model of local distribution. where they have the grain banks. And I'm a great votary of grain banks across the country. This is what we actually need to provide food security to local households, to the poor households. And that model of agriculture, we have the examples across the country, and we can build up that. And I think Bengal can usher in a new era of agriculture.